Question number 1. Once the project's WDS has been created, what process may happen next? A. Estimate activity resources. B. Define activities. C. Estimate activity durations. D. Sequence activities. Define activities. C. Estimate activity durations. D. Sequence activities. Answer is B. Explanation. The define activities process is the process that may begin once the project's WDS has been completed and possible, in some projects, to complete the WDS and the activity list at the same time. Answered option D is incorrect. Sequencing the activities cannot happen until the activity list has been created. Answered option B is incorrect. Estimating activity resources is dependent on the activity list, so not valid. Answered option C is incorrect. Estimate activity durations are dependent on the activity list, so this choice is not valid. Question number 2. Which of the following scheduling techniques identifies the successor activities and the predecessor activities to assist the project manager in sequencing the project work? A. Precedence diagramming method. B. Schedule network template. C. Dependency determination. D. Activity on the node. Answer A. Explanation. The precedence diagramming method uses both predecessors and successors as nodes in a project network diagram. The PDM approach is the most common network diagram approach used and identifies the order of the project work. Answered option B is incorrect. The schedule network template is a tool that uses the previous project network diagram as a base for the current project network diagram. Answered option D is incorrect. Activity on the node places activities on circles within a network diagram. It is an example of the precedence diagramming method. Question number 3. You are the project manager of the NHGQ project for your company. You must create and distribute performance reports to your key project stakeholders. What communication technique do you normally use to distribute reports? A. Push technique. B. Many-to-many. C. One-to-one. D. Pull technique. Answer A. Explanation. Performance reports are distributed through the push technique. This means that the project manager distributes the reports regularly through a mechanism, such as email. Answered option C is incorrect. One-to-one technique describes a conversation between two people. Answered option B is incorrect. Many-to-many technique describes a conversation between many people. Answered option D is incorrect. The pull technique describes the recipients of the report pulling the information, such as from a website. Question. Your project team is executing the project plan and things are going well. Your team has reached its first milestone and is now in the second phase of the project. The project stakeholders have requested that you find the method to reduce the duration of the project. They will reward you and your project team with a 25% bonus of the project costs if you can't finish the project 30 days earlier than what was already planned. The stakeholders, however, will not approve any additional labor costs as part of the agreement. Which approach could you use to shorten the duration of the project? A. Perform resource leveling for the project. B. Crash the project schedule. C. Fast track the project. D. Remove things from the project scope. Answer C. Explanation. Fast tracking is a technique for compressing project phases are overlapped that would normally be done in sequence. It is shortening the project schedule without reducing the project scope. It does not add any additional labor, but it can introduce project risks. Answered option D is incorrect. Removing things from the project scope can reduce the project duration, but it will not satisfy the requirements the stakeholders have identified. Answered option A is incorrect. Resource leveling can actually increase the project duration. Answered option B is incorrect. Crashing can reduce the project duration but it increases the labor expense, something the stakeholders won't approve. Question number 5. The defined activities process is the first process in the project. Time management knowledge are the defined activities process creates just 3 outputs as a result of decomposition, rolling wave template, and expert judgment. Which one of the following is not an output of the defined activities process? A. Activity list. B. Milestone list. C. Activity attributes. D. Project document updates. Explanation. Project document updates are not an output of the defined activities process. Project document updates are the outputs for estimate activity resources. Project document updates include the following: activity list, activity attributes, resource calendars. Answered option A is incorrect. The activity list is an output of the defined activities process. Answered option C is incorrect. The activity attributes is an output of the defined activities process. Answered option B is incorrect. A milestone list is an output of the defined activities process. Activities process. Question number 6. You are working with your project team to create the schedule baseline for your project. You will also be creating the schedule data for this project. The schedule data typically includes Alt 1. Grave accent. A. Risk activities. B. Schedule activities. C. Activity attributes. D. Schedule milestones. Answer. A. Explanation. Risk activity are part of the schedule data. Risk is documented in the risk register, and monitored and controlled throughout the project. In some instances, risk may be part of the activity attributes. The schedule data includes the schedule milestones, schedule activities, activity attributes, and the assumptions and constraints. Schedule data includes the schedule activities, schedule milestones, activity attributes, and documentation of all known assumptions and constraints. The sum of additional data varies by application area. The schedule data commonly supplied as supporting details includes resource requirement by time period, frequently in the category of histogram alternative schedules, such as best case or worst case, the resource leveled, with or without imposed date scheduling of contingency reserves. Answered option D is incorrect. Schedule milestones are part of the schedule data. Answered option B is incorrect. Schedule activities are part of the schedule data. Answered option C is incorrect. Activity attributes are part of the schedule data. Question number 7. Which of the following best describes what a milestone is? A. The significant point in the project. B. A goal of reaching the significant delivery of project benefits by an identified date. C. An imposed date for the project to reach the given point. D. The completion of a project activity that is crucial to project completion. Answer A. Explanation. A milestone is simply the significant point or event in the project. Not have to be assigned to a specific date, but is usually assigned to the completion of project phases. A milestone is the end of a stage that marks the completion of a work package or phase, typically marked by a high-level event such as completion, endorsement or signing of a deliverable document or a high-level review meeting. In addition to signaling the completion of a key deliverable, a milestone may also signify an important decision or the derivation of a critical piece of information, which outlines or affects the future of a project. In this sense, a milestone not only signifies distance traveled but also indicates direction of travel, since key decisions made at milestones may alter the route through the project plan. To create a milestone, enter 0 in the duration field. The task will automatically be classified as a milestone. Answered option C is incorrect. This is a project constraint. Answered option B is incorrect. A project goal is objective for time, cost, scope, and other metrics. Answered option D is incorrect. All activities must be completed in order to complete the project work. Activities that are not completed are quality issues that prevent the project from completing the project scope. Question number 8. If management wants you to create a process improvement plan for your project, your project will be studied by management and will become a standard for all future organizational projects based on your project's performance, approach, and implementation of project. Of the following should be included in your project's process improvement plan except for which one? A. Process boundaries. B. Process configuration. C. Targets for improved performance. D. Identification of project risks. Answer D. Explanation. Identification of the project risks is not part of the process improvement plan. Identify risks is a risk management process, and risks are recorded in the risk register. Answered options A, B, and C are incorrect. Process duration and targets for improved performance are parts of the process improvement plan. Question number 9. Project has a budget of $778,000. The project is scheduled to last for 1 year with an equal amount of work completed each quarter. The second quarter of the project has ended and George has spent $325,000 but has only finished 40% of the project. Management needs a variance report for the project schedule. What value should George report in this instance? A. 0.96. B. $77,800. C. $34,500. D. $13,800. Answer B. Explanation. Schedule variance is a measure of schedule performance on a project. The variance notifies that the schedule is ahead or behind what was planned for this period in time. The schedule variance is calculated based on the following formula. PMI-SP equals earned value, planned value. If the resulting schedule is negative, it indicates that the project is behind schedule. The value greater than 0 shows that the project is ahead of the planned schedule. A value of 0 indicates that the project is right on target. The earned value in this instance is 40% of the project budget, $778,000, and the planned value is $398,000. George is to be 50% done at the end of the second quarter, as the work is spread evenly across all quarters. The schedule variance is $77,800 for the project. Answered option B is incorrect. 0.96 represents the cost performance index. Answered option C is incorrect. $34,500 represents the project's variance at completion if the project continues as is. Answered option D is incorrect. $13,800 is the cost variance for the project. Question number 10. Management has set a conformance to the project schedule for your project at 0.95. What does this term mean? A. It means the largest schedule variance you can have is 5%. B. It is the earned value divided by the planned value for your project. C. It is the expectation of management to be 95 on schedule at 95% of the project. D. It means you will need to earn at least 95 cents per dollar invested in the project. Answer A. Explanation. Conformance to schedule is a required adherence for the project's schedule. In this instance, the project manager must not allow the schedule to slip more than 5%. Answered option B is incorrect. This is the description of the schedule performance index. Answered option D is incorrect. This is the description of the cost performance index. Answered option C is incorrect. This is not a valid statement about the project performance. Question number 11. Which one of the following estimate types is a form of expert judgment? A. Parametric estimate. B. Analogous estimate. C. Bottom-up estimate. D. Definitive estimate. Bottom-up estimate. D. Definitive estimate. Answer B. Explanation. An analogous estimate is a form of expert judgment because it relies on historical information. The historical information, assuming that it is accurate to the expert that created the historical information. Answered option C is incorrect. The bottom-up estimate creates an activity duration estimate for each work package in the WDS. Answered option B is incorrect. Parametric estimating uses a parameter, such as 10 hours per fixture installation, as a base to predict the duration of the project. Answered option D is incorrect. The definitive estimate, also known as a bottom-up estimate, accounts for the cost of each work package. Question number 12. You are the project manager of the NHA project. This project is expected to last 1 year with quarterly milestones throughout the year. Your project is supposed to be at the 3rd milestone today, but you're likely only 60% complete. Your project has a back of $745,000 and you've spent $440,000 of the budget to date. What is your schedule performance index for this project? A 0.8, B 1.02, C 102, D 0.80, 0.80. Answer D. Explanation. The schedule performance index can be found by dividing the earned value by the planned value. $147,000 divided by the $558,750 for a value of 0.80. Schedule performance index is the measure of schedule efficiency on a project. It is used in trend analysis to predict future performance. If the STI value is greater than 1, it's better than expected performance, whereas if the value is less than 1, it shows poor performance. The STI value of 1 indicates that the project is right on target. Answered option B is incorrect. 80 is not the same value as 0.8. Answer option B is incorrect. 1.02 is the cost performance index. Answered option C is incorrect. 102 is not a valid calculation for this question. Question number 13. Fill in the blank with an appropriate phrase. B includes a description of any collateral services required, such as performance reporting or post-pro. B includes a description of any collateral services required, such as performance reporting or post-project operational support for the procured item. Answer. Procurement cell. Explanation. The procurement cell consists of a description of some collateral services required, such as performance reporting or post-project operational support for the procurement cell is revised and refined as required when it moves through the procurement process until incorporated into a signed contract award. Question number 14. Mark is the project manager. He is happily reporting that his project has a schedule performance index of 2.12. Management, however, does not think this is good news. What is the most likely reason why management does not like an STI of 2.12? It is not good news because a larger number means the schedule duration estimates were likely to be wrong to begin with. B. They likely do not understand the STI formula. C. It is not good news, as the number should be closer to 100 than 0. D. It is good news, but Mark may have large cost variances to achieve this value. Answer A. Explanation. Cost and schedule performance indexes should be as close to 1 as possible. A larger value, such as 2.12, means that the schedule duration estimates were likely low to begin with. Answered option B is incorrect. This is not the best choice for this question. Answered option C is incorrect. The number should not be close to 100, it should be close to 1. Answered option D is incorrect. Wildmark may have crashed the schedule and driven up costs to achieve the STI value. The more likely reason is that the time estimates were bloated. Question number 15. Beth is the project manager. Sarah is Beth's administrative assistant and Ben is the project team leader. Beth's project has 8 virtual teams throughout the world that will be working on the activities relevant to the deliverables in their locales. Thomas, the project sponsor, has told Beth that he is to be kept abreast of all communication between her stakeholders. In this project, who is the lead person responsible for communication with all stakeholders? A. Thomas, B. Sarah, C. Each of the team leaders for the 8 virtual teams, D. Beth. Answer D. Explanation. Beth, the project manager, is responsible for communication with all stakeholders. The project manager occupies the center of the interactions between stakeholders and the project itself. Answered option B is incorrect. Sarah may help with the communications, but she is not responsible for the communications. Answered option B is incorrect. Thomas, the project sponsor, just needs to be kept abreast of the information. Answered option C is incorrect. The project team leaders for the virtual sides are not responsible for. Question number 16. What is the main output of the identified stakeholders process? A. Communications management plan. B. Stakeholder register. C. Requirements. D. Stakeholder management strategy. D. Stakeholder management strategy. Answer B. Explanation. The main output of the identified stakeholders process is the stakeholder register, document that contains a list of the stakeholders associated with the project. It assesses how they are involved in the project and identifies what role they play in the organization. The information in this document can be very perceptive and is meant for limited exchange only. It also contains relevant information about the stakeholders, such as their requirements, expectations, and influence on the project. Answered option B is incorrect. The communications management plan is an output of communications planning. Answered option D is incorrect. The stakeholder management strategy is an output of stakeholder identification, but it is not the main output. Answered option C is incorrect. Requirements are not an output of the stakeholder identification process. Question number 17. Management has asked you not to communicate performance unless the CPI is less than 0.96 or the STI/DIP is below 0.98. What type of report would you create for management if these instances develop in your project? A. Cost variance report. B. Exceptions report. C. Performance management report. D. Schedule variance report. Answer B. Explanation. The best answer is simply an exception report. An exception report refers and documents the major mistakes, mishaps, and goofs. In other words, it itemizes the important and critically significant piece of documentation that is vital to the proper and effective functioning of a project. It does not document what has gone right, but rather documents what has gone wrong. Answered option C is incorrect. The performance management report is not a valid project management report. Answer option B is incorrect. The question is asked about cost and schedule, so this answer would not be appropriate for both the cost and the schedule. Option D is incorrect. The question is asked about cost and schedule, so this answer would not be appropriate for both the cost and the schedule. Question number 18. Your project is running late by 10% of where you should be at this time. Management is concerned. Considering that the project has a back of $567,899, you are 30% complete, and you have spent $179,450. What is this project's to complete performance index based on the current back? A 1.02, B 0.010, C 0.75, D 0.95. Answer. The explanation. This project is not performing well on schedule, but moderately well on costs. The project's to complete performance index based on the current back is 1.02. To complete performance index indicates the future required cost efficiency needed to achieve. Once approved, the estimate at complete supersedes the budget at complete as the cost performance goal. Answered option D is incorrect. 0.95 is the project's TCPI value based on the estimate at completion. Answered option C is incorrect. 0.75 is the project's schedule performance index. Answered option B is incorrect. 0.010 is not a valid calculation. Question number 19. Which of the following is a tool and technique for the schedule development process? A. Schedule compression. B. Reserve analysis. C. Variance analysis. D. Expert judgment. Answer. A. Explanation. Schedule compression is a tool used as part of the schedule development process. The tools and techniques for schedule development are as follows. Schedule network analysis, critical path method, critical chain method, resource leveling, what if scenario analysis, applying leads and lags, schedule compression scheduling tool. Answered options D, B, correct. These are not tools and techniques for schedule development. Question number 20. You have recorded the following duration estimates for an activity in your project. Optimistic 20, most likely 45, pessimistic 90. What time will you record for this activity? A. 48, B. 20 on 45 m, 5 m, 90 pc 90, D. 45. Answer. A. Explanation. This is an example of a 3-point estimate. The 3-point estimate records the optimistic, most likely, and the pessimistic duration, and then records an average for the predicted duration. 3-point estimate is a way to enhance the accuracy of activity duration estimates. This concept is originated with the program evaluation and review technique. PERT charts the following 3 estimates. Most likely duration of activity based on realistic factors such as resources assigned, interruptions, etc. Optimistic. The activity duration based on the best case scenario. Pessimistic. The activity duration based on the worst case scenario. The expected activity duration is a weighted average of these 3 estimates. Equals optimistic plus for most likely plus pessimistic, divided by 6. Answered options B, C, and D are incorrect. These are not the valid answers for this question.
If you like this video, kindly subscribe to our channel to get a notification for the next videos.
Beth is the project manager for her organization. Her current project has many deliverables that have been defined at a high level, but the details of the deliverables are still unknown. In her project, Beth is planning in detail only the activities that are most imminent are still unknown. In her project, Beth is planning in detail only the activities that are most imminent in the project work. This approach to project management planning is known as what? Imminent activity management. Rolling wave planning. Predecessor only diagramming. Decomposition. Answer B. Explanation. Rolling wave planning is a technique to plan and do the most imminent project work before moving on to the details that are far off in the project schedule and project plan. Rolling wave planning is a technique for performing progressive elaboration planning where the work to be accomplished in the near future is planned in detail at a low level of the work breakdown structure. The work to be performed within another 1 or 2 reporting periods in the near future is planned in detail as work is being completed during the current period. Answered option D is incorrect. Decomposition is the process work packages into the activity list. Answered options A and C are incorrect. These are not valid project management terms. Question. Gina is the project manager for her organization and she is working with her project team to define the project activities. In this project, the stakeholders are sensitive to the project completion date, so Gina is stressing to her project team members that while they need to provide an account for all of the project activities, they should focus on one work package in the WBS at a time. In order to start the packages into activities, Gina will need all of the following except for which one? Scope baseline, organizational process assets WBS, enterprise environmental factors. Answer C. Explanation. According to the PMBOK, Gina will not need the WBS directly, but will rely on the scope baseline. The work breakdown structure WBS in project management is a tool that defines a project and groups the project's discrete work elements in a way that helps organize and define the total work scope of the project. A WBS element may be a product, data, the service, or any combination. WBS also provides the necessary framework for detailed cost estimating and control along with providing guidance for schedule development and control. Answered option A is the scope baseline is an input to define the project activities. Answered option D is incorrect. Enterprise environmental factors are an input to define the project activities. Answered option B is incorrect. Organizational process assets are an input to define the project activities. Question. You have created the project network diagram for the ABC project. You are exploring total float and free float for that project. Martin, a project team member, wants to know the difference between total float and free float. What is the difference and free float? Total float is the amount of time an activity can be delayed without delaying any project successors, whereas free float is the amount of time an activity can be delayed without delaying the project completion date. Total float is the amount of time an activity can be delayed without delaying the project completion date, whereas free float is the amount of time an activity can be delayed without delaying any project successors. Total float is the amount of time an activity can be delayed without delaying the project completion date, whereas free float is the amount of time an activity without delaying any project predecessors. Total float is the amount of time a non-critical activity can be delayed without delaying any project successors, whereas free float is the amount of time an activity can be delayed without delaying the project completion date. Answer B. Explanation. Total float is the time you can delay an activity without delaying the project end date, whereas free float is on each activity and does not affect the early start date of successor activities. Float, also called slack, is the amount of time an activity can be delayed without affecting any subsequent activities. There are two types of floats available. Free float. It is the amount of time a scheduled activity can be delayed without delaying the early start date of any immediately following scheduled activities. Total float. Time that a scheduled activity may be delayed from its early start date without delaying the project finish date, or violating schedule constraint. Float is calculated by using the critical path method technique. Answered options C, A, and D are incorrect. These are not accurate definitions of free float and total float. Question. Ben is the project manager for his organization. His project has 26 stakeholders this week and will have 5 additional stakeholders next week. How many more communication channels will Ben's 140 10 325 5? Answer. 8. Explanation. Ben's project will have 140 more communication channels because of the 5 additional stakeholders. To solve the question, you will need to find the current stakeholder communication channels first, which is 26 by 25 over 2 equals 325, and then find the difference of the number of channels for the 5 additional stakeholders. You can use the formula of n by n1, where n is the number of stakeholders. It would read: total number of communication channels that Ben will have next equals 31 by 30 over 226 by 25 over 2 equals 140. Answered option D is incorrect. 5 is the number of additional stakeholders. Answered option B is incorrect. 10 is the number of communication channels among just 5 stakeholders. Answered option C is incorrect. 325 is the number of current communication channels. Question. You are the project manager for your organization. You need the oak cabinets for your project delivered by December 1st in order to install the floors around the oak cabinets by December 15th. Your company's procurement office generally takes 45 days to complete procurement orders. Based on this information, how should you schedule the lead time for the cabinet delivery? Cabinet procurement December 1st, plus 45 days lead time. Cabinet procurement November 15th. Cabinet procurement December 1st, minus 45 days lead time. Cabinet procurement December 15th minus 45 days lead time. Answer. C. Explanation. The cabinet procurement and delivery must be completed by December 1st. By scheduling the activity to finish on December 1st with minus 45 days lead time for procurement, the cabinets will arrive by the needed date. Answered option A is incorrect. Lead time is always negative time, lag time is positive time. This choice would cause the cabinets to not arrive until 45 days after December 1st. Answered option D is incorrect. This choice would cause the cabinets to arrive on December 15th when the floors are to be installed. Answered option B is incorrect. This choice is not the best answer because it does not necessarily account for holidays, weekends, or other factors in the project calendar. By scheduling the cabinet for December 1st and working backwards through lead time, the projects will account for these breaks in the project work. Question. Your project has a back of $750,000 and is 75% complete, according to your plan. However, your project should actually be 80% complete. You have spent $575,000 of your project budget to reach this point and you are worried about the project not being able to complete based on your current project budget. What is the to complete performance index for this project? 0.98, $16,677 1.070.94 Answer C. Explanation. The two complete performance index can be found by using the formula BSCM over BSCAC for a value of 1.
If you like this video, kindly subscribe to our channel to get a notification for the next videos.
Question. You are the project manager. This project has 12,345 office doors to install throughout the campus. Each of the doors costs the project $456 and requires special hardware to electronically lock and open the doors. You gather the project team before they begin the installation for a hands-on training. As a group, you and the project team install 50 doors following a checklist of instructions so that every door will be installed exactly the same throughout the campus and with minimal waste. This is an example of what project execution technique. Preventive action. Defect repair validation. Implemented corrective action. Quality control. Answer. 8. Explanation. This is an example of a preventive action as you're working with the team before they install the doors to train them on the installation. The checklist is a quality control tool, but the question was asking for a project execution activity. Preventive and corrective actions are part of project execution. Answered option D is incorrect. Quality control is a controlling and monitoring process, not an executing process. Answered option B is incorrect. The defect repair validation comes after the project team has corrected an error, something that has not occurred in this instance. Answered option C is incorrect. Corrective action is a response to something that needs to be corrected in the project. Question. Your project is 40% complete, though it was scheduled to be 50% complete as of today. Management has asked that you report on the schedule variance for your project. If your project has a back of $650,000 and you've spent $385,000 to date, what is the schedule variance value? $8.75 B $390,000 C $487,500 D negative 65,000. Answer D. Explanation. The schedule variance is found by subtracting the planned value from the earned value. The earned value is the percentage of the project completeness multiplied by the BSC. Planned value is the percentage of where the project should be at this time multiplied by the BSC. In this example, F equals 40% of BSC equals 260,000 and PV equals 50% of BSC equals 325,000. SD equals 260,000 325,000 equals negative 65. 000. Question. Question. Jim is the project manager for his project. He and his project team are creating their duration estimates for the work packages in the WBS. For each activity, Jim is adding a few hours to the duration estimate in case something goes wrong during the completion of the work activity. Sarah, the project sponsor, does not approve of this and warns Jim of Parkinson's Law. What is Parkinson's Law? A. People will behave based on what their behavior brings them. B. As employees do repetitive tasks, duration should decrease. C. Work expands to fill the amount of time allotted to it. D. An exponential increase labor does not correlate to an exponential decrease in duration. D. An exponential increase labor does not correlate to an exponential decrease in duration. Answer. C. Explanation. Parkinson's Law states that work expands to fill the amount of time allotted to complete the work. If Jim allows 25 hours for a project team member to complete a 20-hour task, it will likely take the team member 25 hours to do the work. Answered option A is incorrect. This is a description of the expectancy theory. Answered option B is incorrect. This is a description of the learning curve. Answered option D is incorrect. This is a description of a portion of the law of diminishing returns. Question. Answer. Schedule. Question. Correct text. Fill in the blank with the appropriate word. When activities are logically linked, they become the. Answer. Schedule. Explanation. An activity is an individual element of work that is logically linked to other activities to form the schedule. Its primary characteristics include an overall duration based upon the resources applied to it, manpower, material, and equipment, as well as a start and completion date that is tied to a work calendar. It also has a relationship with other activities' predecessors and successors. Question. You work as a project manager for ABC. You are currently overseeing a project on a high-rise building site. Your prime concern is to ensure that cranes are used effectively for moving materials. You also have to ensure that delivery trucks do not have to wait in a queue and that workers on the upper floors are able to get their deliveries on time. Which type of scheduling would be required in such a scenario? A. Critical path scheduling. B. Time-oriented scheduling. C. Resource-oriented scheduling. D. Network scheduling. Answer. C. Explanation. Resource-oriented scheduling focuses on using and scheduling particular resources in an effective manner. This type of scheduling should be used whenever there are limited resources available for a project and the struggle for these resources between the project activities is intense. As a result, delays are likely to arise in such cases, as actions must wait until general resources become available. Resource-oriented scheduling is also suitable in cases where unique resources are to be used, such as when there is only one excavator available in an excavation operation. Answered option B is incorrect. Time-oriented scheduling is a time scheduling method that focuses on determining the finishing time of a project. It also specifies the crucial precedence relationships among the activities involved in the project. In time-oriented scheduling, the appropriate time is allocated for the whole project through the successive stages of the project life cycle. Answered option A is incorrect. Critical path scheduling is a technique that calculates the minimum completion time for a project along with the possible start and finish times for the project activities. Answered option D is incorrect. Network scheduling provides a basis for obtaining facts for decision-making. Question. John works as a project manager for Blue Yule. He is working on a high-profile project with 80 stakeholders and he needs to express to his project team and to the management the importance of communication in the project. He would like to show the number of stakeholder communication channels in the project, Based on this information, how many communication channels exist within this project? A. 3000, B. 79, C. 80, D. 3160. Answer D. Explanation. Communication channels are paths of communication with stakeholders in a project. The number of communication channels shows the complexity of a project's communication and can be derived through the formula shown below. Total number of communication channels equals N1/2, where N is the number of stakeholders. Hence, a project having 5 stakeholders will have 10 communication channels. Putting the number of stakeholders in the formula, we can get the required communication channel for the project. It is 80 by 79 over 2 for 3,160 communication channels. Question: there have been changes to the project scope in your project. These changes will cause the project schedule to change as well, so you will need to update the schedule and the schedule baseline. The schedule baseline is a component of what? A. Project calendar, B. Project constraints, C. Project objectives, D. Project management plan. Answer D. Explanation. The schedule baseline is a required component of the project management plan. Project management plan is a formal, agreed document that defines how the project is executed, monitored, and controlled. It may be summary or detailed and may be composed of one or more subsidiary management plans and other planning documents. The objective of a project management plan is to define the approach to be used by the project team to deliver the intended project management scope of the project. The project manager creates the project management plan with the inputs from the project team and key stakeholders. The plan should be agreed and approved by at least the project team and its key stakeholders. Answered option C is incorrect. The schedule baseline is not a project objective. Answered option A is incorrect. The project calendar defines when the project will take place. Answered option B is incorrect. Project constraints are restrictions imposed on the project, such as time, cost, and scope. Question: Holly is the project manager of her project. She has chosen to crash the project due to time constraints that have been imposed on her project. When Holly crashes the project, what project document must be updated to reflect this change to the approach? A. Develop schedule process, B. Risk register, C. Project risk management plan, D. Activity attributes. Answer D. Explanation. When Holly adds resources to the project, as in this instance, she will need to update the activity attributes to reflect the new labor. Activity attributes are an output of the defined activity process. These attributes refer to the multiple components that frame up an activity. The components for each activity during the early stages of the project are the activity ID, WBS ID, and activity name. At the later stages, the activity attributes include activity codes, predecessor activity, activity description, logical relationship, successor activity, leads and lags, imposed dates, and constraints and assumptions. Activity attributes are used for schedule development and for ordering, selecting, and sorting the planned scheduled activities in a number of ways within reports. In project document updates, activity attributes are updated to include any revised resource requirements and other revision generated by the develop schedule process. Question: Whitney is the project manager for her company. She has been recording the actual durations of the project work to determine the actual progress of her project. Winnie needs to generate an updated project schedule based on project performance. She is using the supporting schedule data, manual scheduling methods, and her project management software to perform schedule network analysis. What other tool Winnie can use to help and generate an updated project schedule? A. Critical path method. B. Schedule management plan. C. Scheduling tool. D. Critical chain method. Answer: C. Explanation: the scheduling tool is the only other tool that can help Winnie to create an updated project schedule. The scheduling tool is used in combination with manual methods or further project management software to carry out the schedule network analysis to produce an updated project schedule. Answered option A is incorrect. The critical path method can be analyzed, but it is a part of the project management information system. In addition, the critical path is not better or worse than the critical chain method, so by having both answers among the choices, both answers are cancelled. Answered option D is incorrect. The critical chain method can be analyzed, but it is a part of the project management information system. In addition, the critical path is not better or worse than the critical path method, so by having both answers among the choices, both answers are cancelled. Answered option B is incorrect. The schedule management plan may need to be referenced to create a new project schedule, but it is not a tool that Winnie can use. Question: you are the project manager of the NHQ project. Your project has a budget of $1,258,456 and is scheduled to last for 3 years. Your project is currently 40% complete, though it should be 45% complete. In order to reach this point of the project, you have spent $525,000. Management needs a performance report regarding the NHQ project. Management is concerned that this project will be over budget upon completion. What is the estimate at completion for this project that you will need to report to management? A. $62,922.80. B. $1,312,504. C. $8,62,922.80. B. $1,312,504. C. $1,525,000. D. $787,504. Answer: B. Explanation: the estimate at completion can be calculated by dividing the budget at completion by the cost performance index. Here, CPI equals EV over AC equals 0.40 by 1,258,456 over 525,000 equals 0.95882. TAC equals budget over CPI equals 1,258,456/0.95882 equals 1,312,504. Answered option D is incorrect. $787,504 is the estimate to complete. Answered option A is incorrect. $62,922.80 is the schedule variance. Answered option C is incorrect. This is not a valid calculation for this question. Question: John works as the project manager for Honeywell Incorporated. He is involved in the periodic collection and analysis of baseline versus actual data to understand and communicate the project progress. Which of the following techniques is used in generating performance reports? A. Work performance information. B. Change requests. C. Work performance measurements. D. Forecasting method. Answer: D. Explanation. Forecasting method is a technique used in generating performance reports. Forecasting is the process of estimating or predicting in unknown situations. Forecasting is about predicting the future as accurately as possible with the help of all the information available, including historical data and knowledge of any future events that might impact forecasts. The forecasting methods are categorized as follows. Time series method. It uses historical data as the basis for estimating future outcomes. Causal/econometric method. This forecasting method is based on the assumption that it is possible to identify some factors that might influence the variable that is being forecasted. If the causes are understood, projections of the influencing variables can be made and used in the forecast. Judgmental method. Judgmental forecasting methods incorporate intuitive judgments, opinions, and subjective probability estimates. Other methods may include probabilistic forecasting, simulation, and ensemble forecasting. It is one of the tools and techniques of the report performance process. Answered option A is incorrect. Work performance information is the data gathered on the status of the project scheduled activities that are performed to accomplish the project work. This data is collected as part of the direct and managed project execution processes. WPI includes the following. Deliverable status, schedule, progress, costs incurred. It is used as an input in generating the report performance process. Answered option C is incorrect. Work performance measurements are created from the work performance information. WPMs are an output of control schedule, control cost, and control scope processes, which are monitoring and controlling processes. WPMs consist of planned versus actual performance indicators with respect to scope, schedule, and cost. They are documented and communicated to the stakeholders and are used to make project activity metrics, such as the following. Planned versus actual technical performance and scope performance, planned versus actual schedule performance, planned versus actual cost performance. They are used as an input in generating the report performance process. Answered option B is incorrect. Change requests are requests to expand or reduce the project scope, modify policies, processes, plans, or procedures, modify costs or budgets, or revise schedules. These requests for a change can be direct or indirect, externally or internally initiated, and legally or contractually imposed or optional. A project manager needs to ensure that only formally documented requested changes are processed and only approved change requests are implemented. It is an output of the report performance process. Question. Which of the following are the inputs to the develop project charter process? Each correct answer represents a complete solution. Choose all that apply. A. Procurement document. B. Contract. C. Business case. D. Project statement of work. Answer. B, C, D. Explanation. The Develop Project Charter process documents the formal authorization of a project or a phase. It also documents initial requirements that satisfy the stakeholders' needs and expectations. It is used to validate the decisions made during the previous iteration of the Develop Project Charter process. The various inputs of this process are as follows. Project statement of work, business case, contract, enterprise environmental factors, organizational process assets. The output of the Develop Project Charter process is as follows. Project Charter. Answered option A is incorrect. Procurement document is the input of the identified stakeholders process. Question. Beth is the project manager for the NHQ project. This project deals with fiber optic cabling in her organizational campus. Tim is the electrical engineer for her company and is the only internal resource that can complete several of the project activities that deal with the fiber optic cables. Because Tim is a highly skilled resource, he is already scheduled on several projects within the organization and is not available when Beth needs him to complete some of the project activities. This is an example of which term. A resource calendar conflict. B matrix network. C organizational process assets. D activity resource requirements. Answer. D explanation. Because the activities in Beth's project require Tim and his skills. This is an example of an activity resource requirement. The resource constraint would also have been an acceptable answer. Answered option B is incorrect. This may be a matrix organization, but matrix network is not a valid project management term. Answered option C is incorrect. Organizational process assets are things that have been created to help assist the management of the project. Answered option A is incorrect. The resource calendar conflict is not a valid project management term. Question. Fill in the blank with an appropriate phrase that allows the project team to look at the performance of the project to date and use that data to make more accurate projections about the future. Answer. Schedule model. Explanation. The main function of the schedule model is to provide a useful roadmap that can be used by the project manager and the project team to assist them in completing the project fruitfully. A well-developed schedule model is an active tool used to predict at what time the project work that remains to be completed can reasonably be completed. The schedule model allows the project team to look at the performance of the project to date and use that data to make more accurate projections about the future. Question. Some delays early in the project have caused the project schedule to slip by nearly 15%. Management would like Beth to find the method to recoup the schedule slippage and to get the project back on track. Management is risk-averse with this project. Which of the following methods should Beth avoid to recoup the project time? A. Crashing. B. Fast tracking. C. Critical chain methodology. D. Adding lead time. C. Critical chain methodology. D. Adding lead time. Answer. B. Explanation. Of all the choices, Beth should avoid fast tracking, as it allows complete phases of the project to overlap, and this increases project risks. Management wants to avoid risks, so fast tracking would not be helpful. Fast tracking is a technique for compressing project schedule. In fast tracking, phases are overlapped that would normally be done in sequence. It is shortening the project schedule without reducing the project scope. Answered option A is incorrect. Crashing adds people and costs but is relatively safe in regard to risks. Answered option C is incorrect. Critical chain is not a schedule compression technique and would not necessarily help the project get back on schedule. Answered option D is incorrect. Lead time, similar to fast tracking, can increase project risks. However, fast tracking is more risky than lead. Question. The project manager needs to analyze her current project performance and then compare it against what, in order to create a performance report? A. Cost variances and cost performance index. B. Scope baseline. C. Performance measurement baseline. D. Schedule variances, planned value, and the schedule performance index. Answer. C. Explanation. The performance measurement baseline which can be comprised of cost, scope, and schedule, is the foundation for creating the performance report. Answered option B is incorrect. The scope baseline will only reflect the performance of the scope, whereas performance reports typically need scope, time, and cost as its foundation. Answered option B is incorrect. Cost variances and the Cost Performance Index are cost values that must be considered along with the scope performance and schedule performance. Answered option D is incorrect. Only reporting performance on the schedule is not enough for a performance report. Laura should also report on scope and cost at a minimum. Question: which of the following documents captures and defines the work activities, deliverables, and a timeline that a vendor will execute against in performance of work for a customer? A. Project Charter. B. Scope of Statement. C. South DWDS. Answer C. Explanation. A statement of work is a document that captures and defines the work activities, deliverables and timeline that a vendor will execute against in performance of work for a customer. Detailed requirements and pricing are usually specified in it, along with many other terms and conditions. SOW is a narrative description of products or services to be supplied by the project. For internal projects, the project initiator or sponsor provides the statement of work based on business needs, product, or service requirements. For external projects, the statement of work can be received from the customer as part of a bid document. Answered option B is incorrect. Scope of statement gives the narrative description of the project scope. Answered option B is incorrect. Project Charter is a document that formally authorizes a project manager to work on a project. Answered option D is incorrect. WBS is a tool that defines a project and groups the project discrete work in a way that helps organize and define the total work scope. Question: a construction company is about to start a new project. It requires hiring the project manager for this project. Which of the following are the most important skills that a person must have to be selected as a project manager? A. Problem solving. B. Team building and human resources. C. Leading. D. Communication. B. Negotiation and influential. Answer D. Explanation. A good project manager must have all of the above mentioned skills. Out of these, the communication skills are the most important skills for a project manager. Communication skills are part of general management skills and are used to exchange information. Communication has many dimensions: written and oral, listening, and speaking, internal within the project and external. Customer, the media, the public, formal reports, briefings and informal memos, ad hoc conversations, vertical up and down the organization and horizontal with peers. Communication is the most important skill that a project manager must possess. It is the single most important characteristics of a top-class project manager. Project managers must communicate well in order to integrate and maximize the performance of team members. Oral and written communications are the backbone of every successful project. During different phases of a project, a project manager requires to communicate through different manners, for example, documentation, meeting updates, etc., and he must ensure that the information communicated is explicit, clear, and complete. Answered options E, C, A, and B are incorrect. All these mentioned skills make a person a good project manager. Communication skills top the list. What are organizational skills? Organizational skills are part of management skills to organize various aspects of a project in order to complete it successfully. A good project manager uses these skills to successfully organize his meetings, as well as to keep documentations, quotes, contracts, etc., which can be fetched at any given moment. Organizational skills also include planning and time management skills. What are budgeting skills? Budgeting skills include the knowledge of finance and accounting principles. A project manager must possess these skills in order to perform cost estimates for project budgeting. Reading and understanding quotes, preparing purchase orders, and reconciling purchase invoices are all part of budgeting skills. In order to make the budget of a project, the project manager must have excellent budgeting skills. What are problem-solving skills? Problem-solving skills include the ability to define and analyze problems, and to take decisions in order to solve the problems by implementing those decisions. Every project manager must possess strong problem-solving skills. Problem-solving is a twofold process. Defining the problem, taking decision, and then implementing it. The project manager is responsible for determining the best course of action to take in order to resolve the problem. What are negotiating and influencing skills? Negotiating skills includes demanding and convincing others for the rightful thing or act. A project manager needs this skill to negotiate on projects in almost every area, such as scope definitions, budgets, contracts, resource assignments, schedules, etc. Influencing skills include the convincing power of a person. It is an ability to change minds and the course of events. A good project manager requires these skills to utilize them in all areas of project management. Question: which of the following individuals has a management role in a core business area, such as research and development, design, manufacturing, provisioning, testing, or maintenance? A. Functional manager. B. Operations manager. C. Project manager. D. Seller. Answer: B. Explanation: a role of operations manager is to perform various management roles in a core business area, such as research and development, design, manufacturing, provisioning, testing, or maintenance. The operations manager directly deals with constructing and maintaining the saleable products or services of the enterprise. Answered option C is incorrect. A project manager is an expert in the field of project management. He is responsible for the entire project from inception to completion. The project manager leads the team and helps negotiate the multiple relationships within any project, whether with clients, team members, firm principals, or any variety of partners, and functions as the hub of a project. Answered option A is incorrect. A role of a functional manager is to perform various management roles within an administrative or functional area of the business, such as human resources, finance, accounting, or procurement. He is assigned his own permanent staff to carry out the ongoing work. He should have a clear directive to manage all tasks within his functional area of responsibility. Answered option D is incorrect. Seller is also known as a vendor, supplier, or contractor. They are external companies' elements that enter into a contractual agreement to provide components or services.